Hey guys, good morning. Just going live here, sharing it on a couple pages and groups. Okay, welcome. Good morning. How we doing here? Share this in. One more spot. All right, and we're live, ready to go. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Gio. We're not friends already. Nice to meet you. So I do a Monday live every Monday, just I guess to recap some insights, thoughts. It's a very interesting time in the world right now. Lots are going on, and I guess some of the questions I've been asking myself is, am I going a little crazy or is the world changing? And so today I'm going to talk a bit about, I guess, what we call conspiracy theories. I'm going to talk a little bit about 420 today, and a little bit about, what this really sort of does for us, what the takeaways are. So I remember back in my 20s, some challenging times where I was just really starting to questioning the way things worked in the world and learning about different things and about capitalism and about how, greed can create, I guess, different ways of thinking and pressure to sort of make certain decisions that might be not beneficial for people, that might not be beneficial for the planet. Oh, there's my alarm. It's time to go on this live. And when I started seeing that, I started realizing that, wait a minute, like maybe the medical uh, or these huge sort of systems are not out for our best interest. And I could see how that can happen because before they're sort of naive. You think that the government is always in your best interest, and you think that corporations always have your best interest in mind. And then you start seeing how this insane customer demand can push things, and you can see how things like a corporation that has shareholders, people that are investing their money in a mutual fund that invests in all these other companies. They're just putting pressure because they want to return. They don't always care what each individual company does. And then someone who works in a company who may have started off as well intentioned, then has all this pressure to perform, and then they have to make decisions. So when you're pushed your back up against the wall and you need to feed your family, and I'm not saying that CEOs usually make a lot of money, but the fear of losing, whatever stage you're at, when you have a fear of losing something, you sometimes make bad decisions. Like I'm sure all of us now in these last few weeks have had fears of maybe losing things and things we maybe have some attachments to, and have thought about what would life be like if I didn't have this in my life. This job, this money, this um, lifestyle that I've been living. And so it's good to sort of um, try to have some context to it to understand why someone might make the decision. Now, it doesn't justify that it's right, but I just think that it's a good time to expand our consciousness. And maybe it's the entire system that there's an issue with, and not so much the individual people. And I think now what's happening is I think we're in this stage of great awakening, where a lot of people are, and especially this time, spending these 2 months at home, really reflecting on themselves. And it's giving them time to sort of do some research and go on the internet. And the internet is exploding with conspiracy theories. As I mentioned, back in the day, I was really into conspiracy theories myself, because I was looking for other answers out there. And I found, and this has just been studied, that once you start distrusting something or believing in one conspiracy theory, you're most likely to believe in all of them. Now, does that mean every single conspiracy theory is true? No. Does it mean every single conspiracy theory is a lie? No, but I think the truth lies somewhere in between. And what's good is you start questioning. You start questioning your reality. When you're born into a system, like when a lion is born in captivity or a fish is born in a tank, it doesn't know anything outside of that, and it thinks that that's normal. And when you think that that's normal, you don't know anything else. And so I think just the very questions before we start thinking about conspiracy theories and and who's out to get us is really looking into, what are we doing here in the first place? Why am I on this planet at this time? How did we get here? Did we evolve from monkeys? I don't know if that really makes sense to me. Or is it something else? And what is the purpose? So, this week I've been seeing some documentaries coming up, which are very interesting. There's one called Out of Shadows, and it's dark, and there's a lot of things that really make you question a lot of things. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. I'm not recommending that you go watch it unless it resonates with you to question yourself. It'll definitely open up a deep rabbit hole. And then once I watched, I really had to ask myself, is this true? Well, first of all, is it possible? That's number one. Do I believe that it can be true? And then what's the probability of it being true? Because I've seen in the media them be able to make things that are really true look untrue. The way they can sort of spin a story. Anyways, a good movie called Wag the Dog is probably in the 90s. And there's many instances of it every single day. How you can take anything and with the right kind of editing and the software tools they have now, make anything seem real. So that one there had me question a lot of things. And for me, it's like, okay, what would the motive be? Are there really people that are this evil in this world? But I think it's very hard for us to relate to that because, people that are super rich and have a lot of control, what do you want to do? You don't want to lose that. Think about your own security. What measures would you go to keep your current reality in check? Like, again, a lot of us have had this exact experience where the fear of losing what we have in this last couple of weeks has made us maybe think about things a little bit differently. So it's not that if these things are true, we want to put blame, but we need to fix the whole system as a whole. And I think this is something that's been happening over thousands of years. Another thing that's been under fire is Bill Gates. And it's so interesting because half the world loves him and holds him on a pedestal. The other half of the world thinks he's trying to take over the world and control it. Wants this vaccination program. I'm seeing these theories about COVID standing for certificate of vaccination, ID, and they want to chip everybody. And on one hand, it's really scary, but on one hand, is it true? Are people just taking it to this next level? Is it really about security? Is it really about control? Is it really about this agenda that's going on? And I think when you have all this sort of craziness coming around, your mind's going crazy, you can lose yourself in it. You can be an observer, or you can go within. And the last sort of conspiracy rabbit holes I went down in my mid-20s pushed me more into a spiritual practice. When people ask me, are you spiritual? Are you religious? I'm not religious, but spirituality is something that I think is within all of us. I think our purpose here is to learn and grow. And we're thrown into this incredible environment, which we call Earth, which has such a spectrum from fear to love, and back again, so you get this opportunity to be challenged, your integrity, your authenticity, your decision-making process when people are looking and when they're not. And I think if we are souls and if we are trying to get to another place, like this is the perfect initiation or the perfect sort of breeding ground or the perfect place to get sent back to if you're not doing well and somewhere that you need a higher vibration, because it allows you this freedom of choice and allows you to be challenged in all these different ways. And then there's things like 5G, and I know 5G is getting a lot of heat right now. And a lot of people are saying that, it's not safe, it's safe. The conspiracy theorists talk about how Tesla invented something like COV-FeFe, which is cobalt, palladium, and an iron, which neutralizes it. There's two kinds of 5G. But what I want to tell people is that the reason why I think 5G is coming out so quickly is because of demand. People are upset about 5G and they're complaining about it on their iPhone and they can't get enough bandwidth. Is more testing needed? Yes. Is more testing needed in vaccines? I think so too. I think if the medicine technology is real, then it should be tested properly. But if people are pushing, and like I mentioned earlier about this capitalist agenda that people want it, we need to deliver, we need to be competitive with our competitors. This is what people want. How do we push this through faster? And I've seen it because I've been in business too. I've seen it on different scales where, we're creating that demand and then we're getting upset because it's getting given to us. So I think this raising of consciousness around the world, the Schumann resonance is changing right now. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of chaos, but I think there's this melting pot of all this energy and pressure that's coming together. And I think something incredible is going to come out of it. I've been looking into some, whistleblower accounts of free energy that's going to be released soon, which can be a game changer. And they talk about how, the petrodollar is used to sort of bully other nations. And the IMF is letting go of debt around the world. The World Health Organization is getting investigated now by the U.S. government because of fraud, or not fraud, sorry, because of just funny things that are going on there. And so I think, ultimately there's probably corruption on all levels, but I think this is a time of truth, and truth is coming up. And it's good that we're asking questions, but it's good to ask questions without getting angry and blaming and burning society, but just letting everyone know who's in charge that we want to know. We want to have answers. We want, as a collective, this responsibility of authenticity and transparency. And that's why people are in power. They're put in government to represent us, not corporations. And I think there's a happy medium in between. So I don't think it's let's burn down the corporations, let's riot. But I think we need to speak loud enough that our voice be heard. So I think it's really important that people do the research and to understand, things that are important, that we can have these collective conversations. I know censorship is a huge thing right now on Facebook and all these mainstream media guys that are owned by only a few corporations that are trying to censor certain things. So do they have an agenda as well? That's the question that's been coming up within me. And then ask yourself, is that true? How does that make me feel? What can I really do about it? I can talk openly without trying to blame or fight people. Even on my own Facebook threads, I see people breaking out saying, guys, when you're in a conversation, especially about something sensitive, like something that's a conspiracy theory, it's important not to attack the person sharing their view, but just look at the view analytically and create a response based on the view, not saying, hey, you're an idiot, don't post that, because that's just going to create conflict and bad conversation. So yeah, I think I'm rambling on here, guys. But what I do want to say is that, ask questions. Asking questions is good, but really be careful about drawing conclusions quickly. Really be careful about seeing something that really is compelling, because all of this stuff is really designed to get an emotional reaction out of you. Whether it's the 6 o'clock news, whether it's a conspiracy theory you watch online, whether it's videos you see, everyone is an expert these days. There's thousands of videos. I've gone crazy watching, just every side of the story, and there's multiple sides. And you got to also be careful you're not following your confirmation bias, because most people want to search things that support what they already believe. And most things that have something that goes against what they believe is cognitive dissonance. You want to reject it. So it's really important to try to see both sides with an open mind. This is where meditation comes in, being the observer, observing your thoughts. When you're watching a video, you see an emotion come up. What is that emotion telling me? Is it fear? Is it anxiety? Is it anger because I want to reject what they're trying to tell me? That's a very amazing tool or practice to see how we fit in and how we can respond. Because no matter what's going on in the world, you always have the choice on how you want to respond to it, whether it's on a micro level in your daily life, whether it's on a macro level. And then how we respond is that's how we're gonna create change. Responding from love and not fear. So just really quick, I had this, it was 420 today, and I was out in nature yesterday, and I was smoking some cannabis that I bought legally because I'm in Canada and it's recreational, illegal. And I had this vision of a future where all of these things were released. Medicine was set free, where it wasn't about profit, patents were gone, open source, free energy, which there's a lot of talk about. There's things that have been suppressed because of corporations wanting to buy up these patents because they cause a threat, and that makes sense from a corporate level. Now, are they doing it to enslave humanity, or are they doing it to protect a business? I don't know how far you want to go down that conspiracy route. Same thing with medicine. Are they just doing it because it makes sense for business, or are they doing it because they're evil and want to have people sick? Which sort of falls into a very fine line. But I had this vision of medicine being set free, all these cures coming out. They're already talking about things like hydrochloroquine being a really amazing drug for treating coronavirus. Is that possible? Maybe. Do I want to believe it's true? Yes. I know if we collectively start focusing all of our intention on what is possible versus what we're afraid of, things are going to change even quicker. That's why I think if you believe in conspiracy theories, why fear on the news makes so much sense. Because you're just sort of perpetuating this vision, and collectively we're doing it. It's going to create that. But just recently there was these mass meditations that have been going on, and they actually saw a change in the Schumann resonance. And some other theories that are going on right now is we're going into this sort of time of this great solar flare where there's going to be intense solar activity. It's going to really be changing the energy on the earth. And, I think that's going to cause in turn a mass shift in awareness and awakening. And a lot more people are going to be inspired now coming out of this to create change, to put their energy towards change. Because when you have all this time to reflect and things sort of slow down, you start questioning, what am I doing here? Is this job even make sense and worth what I'm doing? Or can I put my energy into creating better solutions? So ponder on that. Send me some questions if there's some stuff you want to talk about on next Monday's live. I do this every Monday at 9 a.m. just for a 15, 20-minute talk. 420, happy 420, Viva plant medicine. Use it as a tool. I think if you're going to smoke weed or use any plant medicine, it's important to set an intention before taking it. It's important to, have a few minutes of reflection at least. Do it in nature, have the right setting around you and enjoy. So it's 420 if you can, if it's legal where you are, spark one up today. The right intentions. Thank you so much for tuning in. And again, any questions I'd love to answer on next Monday's live, anything you want me to talk about. But always just try to step back. Don't get emotionally drawn into what's going on. Be the observer. And, let's try to create solutions rather than problems or fighting what's the old, because we can create something new that's going to be amazing. And I strongly believe that. And it takes all of us to create that. So signing off. Peace. Oh, before I forget, there's a free 7-day breathwork course, elementalacademy.org/breath. I'm inviting all you guys to try it out. I'm actually just looking for feedback. So you can just go in. It's totally free. You just have to sign a little waiver that says you won't hold me responsible if your life changes, and it's the most amazing thing ever. Just kidding. It's free, elementalacademy.org/breath. Please leave some comments on this video. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Maybe I'm going crazy. Maybe I'm not, but there's a lot going on right now, which is super interesting. So love you guys. Peace.